I lose my job on a Tuesday. No warning, no meeting. Just a short email that lands in my inbox while I'm still finishing a shift I won't be paid for. By the time I step outside, Pittsburgh feels colder than it did that morning. The kind of cold that doesn't bite right away. It just sits on you. I walk because I don't feel like sitting on a bus with people who still know where they're going. The streets look the same. Brick buildings, dirty snow piled in the corners, traffic moving like it always does. It's a normal afternoon. That's the part that sticks with me. Nothing dramatic happens, nothing feels urgent. I just keep walking, thinking about rent, thinking about how long I can stretch what's left in my checking account. That's when I meet Philip. He's waiting near a small storefront set back from the street, not blocking the sidewalk, not pacing, just standing there like he belongs. He says my name like he's confirming something already decided. He's polite, calm, the kind of man who never raises his voice because he's never had to. We talk inside for a few minutes. Paperwork comes out. Everything looks clean, legal, temporary. That word comes up more than once. Temporary responsibility, temporary coverage, temporary arrangement until things are finalized. He slides a set of keys across the counter. Old keys, heavy. I tell myself that's just how they used to make them. He explains what I'm expected to do. Sit at the front, receive things, hand things over, keep the place open during posted hours, don't make changes, don't worry about the long term. Nothing he says feels wrong. That's important. If it had, I would have left. When we're done, Philip thanks me for my time. Not for taking the job, just for my time. Then he leaves. No rush, no pressure. I stand there for a moment, keys in my hand, listening to the quiet. I decide to head home and think about it. The door opens easily. The street outside looks exactly like it should. I start walking. I don't check the time. I don't feel lost. I just walk. One block, then another. The cold seeps through my jacket. My hands ache. I should be home by now. Nothing stops me. No locked gates, no wrong turns, no dead ends. The sidewalks keep going. The buildings stay familiar. But the walk stretches. Too long for how far I've gone. I tell myself I misjudged the distance. That unemployment has a way of messing with your sense of time. By the time I reach my apartment, I'm tired in a way that doesn't match the effort. I sit on the edge of my bed and set the keys down beside me. I don't feel scared. I don't feel watched. I feel foolish for even noticing. I remember thinking it was just a weird block, nothing more. I start coming in the next morning. There's no ceremony to it, no onboarding, no email waiting for me when I wake up. I just take the keys from my nightstand, put on the same jacket, and head back out into the cold. The walk feels normal this time, short, predictable. I don't think about yesterday too much. I tell myself I imagined the stretch in the distance because I was tired and pissed off and staring too hard at my phone. The place looks the same in daylight, small, old, the kind of storefront you walk past 100 times without noticing. The windows are dusty, but not abandoned dusty, more like no one's bothered to clean them in a while. Inside it's quiet, not the heavy kind of quiet, just empty. The space is narrow, one long room with shelves along the walls and a counter near the front. The floor creaks if you step too hard, so I don't. There's a clock on the wall behind the counter. It works. I check that first. I don't know why, but I do. It ticks along like it should. My job is exactly what Philip said it would be. I sit at the counter. I wait. When someone comes in, I acknowledge them. If they hand me something, I take it. If they're here to pick something up, I give it to them. No upselling, no questions, no inventory system I can see. The shelves behind me are full, but none of it is labeled in a way that means anything to me. The first few customers don't say much. Some don't say anything at all. They come in, head straight to the counter, exchange something with me, and leave. No browsing, no lingering. It's efficient in a way that makes me feel unnecessary. I keep expecting someone to ask who I am. No one does. Around late morning, a guy comes in through the front door carrying a stack of insulated bags. He looks like every delivery guy I've ever seen. Baseball cap, hoodie under a jacket, red nose from the cold. He sets the bags down carefully, like he's done it 100 times before. "You Ryan?" he asks. I nod. "Cool, I'm Ben." That's it. No last name, no clipboard. He pulls out his phone, taps the screen, and shows me an order confirmation I don't recognize, but pretend I do. I sign with my finger. He smiles like this is the easiest part of his day. Ben talks while I check the bags. Nothing important. Weather, traffic, a place nearby that makes decent sandwiches if you catch them before lunch rush. He asks how long I've been here. I say it's my first week, even though it's not even my second day yet. It feels true enough. Before he leaves, he hesitates. "You need anything else?" he asks. I don't. Or at least, I don't know what I would ask for. He shrugs and heads out. The door closes behind him, and the quiet settles back in. The day moves strangely after that. The clock works. I keep checking it, but time doesn't feel like it's passing in the usual way. Customers come and go, but I couldn't tell you how many. The lighting never shifts. No sunlight angles in through the windows. No shadows crawl across the floor. It's the same dull brightness from the moment I unlock the door to the moment I lock it again. I chalk it up to winter. Overcast skies, short days. The hallways bother me a little. Not because they're dark or narrow, just because they feel longer than they should be. When I walk to the back and then return to the counter, it feels like it takes more steps than I remember. I count once, then stop, because counting feels stupid. Nothing bad happens. That's important. If something bad had happened, I would have reacted differently. But everything stays just shy of concerning, easy to excuse, easy to ignore. By the third day, I've stopped checking the clock so often. Ben comes by once a day, always around the same time. We talk a little longer each visit. He complains about routes, about people who never answer their phones, about how this part of the city messes with his GPS. I laugh when I'm supposed to. He's normal, solid. The only proof I have that things outside this place are still moving forward. When he leaves, I feel the absence more than I expect to. I don't tell anyone where I'm working, not because it's a secret, just because it doesn't come up. When people ask how the job search is going, I say I'm covering something temporary, which is true, I think. At some point, I realize I don't know what day it is. I check my phone. The date surprises me, but not enough to scare me. I tell myself I've been distracted. That happens when you're unemployed, or newly employed, or both at once. Staying feels easier than leaving. That's the thought that starts to bother me, not because I want to stay, but because I don't feel any urgency to go. When closing time comes, I lock up, step outside, and walk home. The walk feels normal now. Short, manageable. Like yesterday never happened. And that's the problem. One evening, as I'm locking the door, the thought hits me fully formed and unwelcome. I haven't actually tried to live again. Not really. I've been walking home. Sure. But I haven't tested it, haven't pushed, haven't paid attention the way I did that first day. I've just assumed it would work itself out. I stand there for a second, keys in my hand, the cold biting at my fingers. Then I turn away from the door and head home. I tell myself I'll think about it tomorrow. That night, the request comes in without fanfare. It's late, or at least it feels late. The clock says otherwise, but I've stopped trusting it. The front door opens, the bell makes its dull sound, and a customer steps inside. Nothing about them stands out. No hurry, no hesitation. They don't browse. They walk straight to the counter and set a slip of paper down between us. There's a single line written on it. No item name, no code. Just a short description that doesn't quite describe anything. I'm here to pick it up, they say. I look at the slip again, then at the shelves behind me. My first instinct is to ask a question, any question, but the words don't come out. Instead, I nod. Yeah, I hear myself say. This way. I don't know why I say it. I don't know where I'm taking them. My feet move before my thoughts catch up. I step out from behind the counter and head toward the back. The customer follows without comment, their footsteps matching mine like they already know the pace. The hallway stretches. It always does. But this time, it doesn't feel wrong. It feels expected, like the space is doing what it's supposed to do. I stop in front of a shelf I've walked past dozens of times. There's nothing on it that looks special, no label, no mark. But my hand goes to one item anyway. I lift it, turn back, and place it in the customer's hands. They don't check it. They don't thank me. They just turn and leave, walking past the counter and out the door like the transaction was never in question. When the bell stops ringing, the quiet feels thicker than usual. I stand there for a long moment, staring at the space where the item used to be. Then I put the slip of paper in the drawer beneath the counter and tell myself I'll figure out what just happened later. I don't sleep well that night, not because of nightmares, because I keep replaying the moment my hand moved without me deciding to move it, the certainty of it, the way it felt less like a choice and more like remembering something I'd forgotten. In the morning, I unlock the door and step inside to find a folded piece of paper sitting on the counter. It isn't mine. I know that immediately. I don't fold paper that way. The creases are too neat, too practiced. The ink is faded, like it's been written and rewritten over time. When I open it, my stomach tightens. It's a note, short, direct, no greeting. If you're reading this, you're already adjusting. I read it twice, then a third time, slower. The handwriting is cramped, slanted slightly to the right, not rushed, careful, like whoever wrote it was trying not to waste space. I flip the paper over, nothing on the back. I check the drawers, the shelves, the floor. There's no sign of how it got there. I tell myself Ben must have dropped it, even though I know that's not true. Ben doesn't come inside. He never has. The rest of the morning passes without incident. Customers come and go. The clock ticks. The light doesn't change. By afternoon, I find another note. This one is tucked between two items on a shelf I don't remember stocking. The handwriting's the same. The ink a little darker. Don't write anything down you're not willing to lose. That's it. No explanation, no context. I take it with me to the counter and sit with it, staring at the words until they blur. My first thought is that this is some kind of prank, an elaborate one, sure, but still human, still manageable. The alternative, that someone has been here without my noticing, feels harder to accept. By evening, I've found 4 more fragments, not full notes, just pieces. A sentence on the back of a receipt, a margin scribble inside a ledger I didn't know existed, a line scratched into the wood beneath the counter, shallow enough that I only notice it when my fingers catch on it. None of them are complete. Some contradict each other. One warns me not to trust the shelves. Another insists the shelves are the only thing that can be trusted. A third claims the front door is honest, then crosses the word honest out so hard it tears the paper. But one sentence shows up every time. Don't interfere. It's written the same way in each place. Same pressure, same slant. Like a habit the writer couldn't break. There's a name on one of the notes, just once. Written smaller than the rest, like it wasn't meant for me to see. Arthur. I don't say it out loud, I don't know why, but the thought of hearing it in the space makes my skin prickle. Instead, I gather the fragments and stack them neatly beneath the counter. I tell myself I'll organize them later, make sense of them, figure out the pattern. The pattern figures itself out. It becomes obvious over the next few hours, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. The space never resists the customers, not once, no matter what they ask for, no matter how long they linger, no matter where they go. But me? The aisles shift when I hesitate. The distance stretches when I second-guess myself. The shelves seem to lean in just enough to narrow my path when I try to take a shortcut. It isn't aggressive, it's corrective. I test it carefully. When a customer walks toward the back, I stay still. The hallway remains the same length. When I follow too closely, it lengthens. When I try to lead, it tightens around me like a suggestion. I'm not being stopped. I'm being guided. No, that's not right. I'm being adjusted. The realization lands quietly, but it changes everything. I'm not part of the flow. I'm the thing being compensated for, the variable that gets nudged to keep everything else smooth. Arthur's notes make more sense after that. The contradictions, the warnings, the refusal to call any of this a system or set of rules. You can't write rules for something that changes based on whether you're paying attention. Late in the day, I find a ledger behind the counter. I don't remember seeing it before. The pages are thick, yellowed. Dates are written in careful rows, each followed by a name or a mark. Most entries are mundane: pickups, deliveries, returns. At the bottom of the page for tomorrow, there's a new line. The handwriting isn't mine. Special request, priority handling, and beneath it, a single name. Hollis. No description, no item listed. Just the name, written with deliberate pressure, like whoever wrote it wanted to be sure it stayed. I close the ledger and slide it back into place. My hands are steady. That surprises me. I don't feel afraid yet. I feel singled out. The space is quiet. The light hasn't shifted. The door's locked, and for the first time, I'm aware of how little that matters. I look at the stack of notes under the counter, at Arthur's careful, failing attempt to leave something behind. I think about the customer from the night before, how easily my body had known what to do. I don't interfere. I lock up and head home, the name repeating in my head with each step. Hollis. Tomorrow I'll be ready. Ben shows up at the wrong time. I know that the moment I hear the bell, it's not because of the hour. I've stopped trusting the clock, but because of the way the sound lands. Too sharp, too present, like it doesn't belong to the rhythm the place has settled into. I'm behind the counter, sorting through nothing in particular, when the door opens and cold air spills in. Ben steps inside with his usual stack of insulated bags, cheeks red, breath fogging in front of him. "Hey," he says. "Sorry, man. Route got screwed up." I don't answer right away. I'm watching the space behind him, waiting for it to react, for the hallway to stretch, for the shelves to lean, for anything. Nothing happens. Ben shifts his weight. "You good?" I nod, too fast. "Yeah, come in." The door closes behind him. The bell goes quiet. The space stays still. That's worse. Ben sets the bags down and rubs his hands together. "Place is warmer than outside," he says, like he's trying to convince himself. "You ever notice that?" I don't respond. I'm listening for something else, a pressure change, a hum, a signal that I've crossed a line. The space gives me nothing. We stand there for a second, just the two of us, surrounded by shelves that feel closer than they did yesterday. Ben follows my gaze and frowns. "You reorganize?" he asks. "No." "Huh." He laughs softly. Could have sworn it was shorter last time. He pulls out his phone, taps the screen, then scowls. "No signal in here again. Figures." He hands me the bags. I take them. My hands are shaking now, and I don't bother hiding it. Ben notices. "You all right, Ryan?" I open my mouth to tell him to leave. I don't. Instead, I say, "Hang on a second." I turn toward the back, meaning to stash the delivery where it always goes. I take 3 steps. Behind me, Ben says my name. I turn around. He's not there. There's no sound, no rush of air, no sense of movement. 1 second he's standing by the counter. The next there's only empty floor and the faint smell of cold. The bags are still in my hands. "Ben!" I call out. My voice sounds wrong in the space, too loud, like I'm the one intruding. I move toward the front door and grab the handle. It doesn't resist, it just doesn't respond. The door stays closed, solid and unmoving, like it's always been that way. "Ben!" I shout this time. Nothing answers. I drop the bags. They hit the floor with a dull thud that echoes longer than it should. I run to the counter, then to the back, then to the space where the hallway begins to stretch. I follow it until my lungs burn and my legs ache, calling his name until it starts to feel stupid and cruel. There's no sign of him. No phone, no jacket, no scuff marks, no indication he was ever inside at all. When I finally stop, bent over with my hands on my knees, the space adjusts around me. The hallway shortens, the shelves ease back, like it's satisfied now. The door at the front closes. I don't remember hearing it move. I stand there, shaking, trying to decide what to do. Call the police, call someone, call anyone. My phone still has no signal. The idea of explaining this to someone out loud makes my stomach twist. I don't get time to think it through. The bell rings again. I snap my head up, heart slamming against my ribs. The front door opens smoothly, like nothing has happened. A man steps inside. He's unremarkable. That's the first thing I notice. Average height, average build, neutral expression. He isn't looking around like Ben did. He isn't taking in the space. He's already walking toward the counter. "Hollis," he says when he reaches it, not offering his hand, not asking a question. I swallow. "Yeah." There's no urgency in him, no threat. He stands there patiently, hands relaxed at his sides, like he's waiting for me to finish a task we both know I've already started. "I have a pickup," he says. I nod because that seems to be what the space expects of me. "This way," I say. We move together. I don't check behind me this time. I know the door's closed. I know it doesn't matter. The deeper we go, the less the space pushes back. That's what scares me. The hallways don't stretch. The shelves don't narrow. It's like the place is holding its breath. I stop when the air changes. There's no clear boundary, no line on the floor. But I feel it in my chest, a pressure shift, like stepping into a room where the acoustics are wrong. The sound of my breathing flattens. Hollis stops beside me, not surprised. "This is far enough," he says. I turn to face him. Up close, there's still nothing off about him. No smell, no heat, no wrongness I can point to. Just a man waiting. I reach for the shelf without thinking. The item my hand closes around isn't heavy, but it feels dense, like it carries more weight than its size allows. The moment I touch it, the space goes quiet. Not silent. Quiet, as if every sound is being absorbed before it can echo. Hollis watches me closely now. "They never told you what it costs to keep this place running," he says. "It isn't an accusation. It isn't a threat. It's an observation. I should stop there. I know that. Every fragment Arthur left behind screams at me to stop. Don't interfere. Don't change the outcome. Don't touch what's already in motion." But Ben's face flashes in my mind. The way he smiled when he talked about bad sandwiches and broken GPS routes. The way he vanished without even a sound. I look down at the item in my hands. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. I only know that it doesn't feel complete, like Something is missing from it. Or taken. Hollis waits. I make a small adjustment. It's barely a choice, more like a reflex. I shift the item in my grip, changing how it's oriented, redirecting it just slightly. Enough that it won't leave exactly the way it was meant to. The space reacts, not violently, not immediately. There's no shock wave, no scream, no collapse. The air tightens. The shelves tremble once, then settle. The quiet lifts, replaced by the soft creak of wood and the distant hum of something resuming its work. Hollis steps back. For the first time, his expression changes. Not anger, not fear, recognition. "So," he says, "you're one of those." I don't answer. I can't. My hands are still on the item, and I can feel the space taking note of me, of what I've done, of what I've changed. Hollis doesn't reach for it. He turns away instead, walking back the way we came. The hallways open for him without hesitation. He doesn't look back. When he's gone, the space exhales. I'm left standing alone in the neutral zone, the item warm in my hands, my heart racing. I don't feel victorious. I don't feel relieved. I feel seen. Somewhere in the distance, the door opens, then closes. I know, with a certainty that makes my stomach drop, that something fundamental has shifted. I've crossed a threshold, and the place knows my name now. I don't sleep after that. I don't pace either. I sit behind the counter with my hands folded, staring at the place where the light never changes. The item I interfered with is gone. I don't remember putting it back. I don't remember handing it over. I only remember the moment the space reacted and the feeling that followed, heavy and precise, like a finger pressing down on a scale. Recorded. That word comes to me without context, not written anywhere, not spoken, just understood. The next morning arrives without ceremony. The door unlocks the same way it always does. The bell sounds the same dull note. If not for the empty space where Ben should be, I might have convinced myself nothing happened. I don't look for him again. That feels important. Like the space is waiting to see if I will. I find Arthur's writing spread farther than before. Not new notes, old ones, surfacing, fragments that must have been here the whole time, tucked into cracks I never thought to check, under the counter, between shelf brackets, on the back of official-looking forms that no longer make sense to me. I stopped stacking them, stopped trying to put them in order. Instead, I read them as they appear. Arthur never writes rules, not once. He circles ideas, approaches them from different angles, contradicts himself openly. One page insists the space is neutral, another claims it has preferences. A third crosses both statements out and replaces them with a single line written so hard it tears the paper. It doesn't care about you, it only cares if you change things. That's where I stop pretending. Arthur didn't lose his mind all at once. He didn't panic. He didn't spiral. He did what I did. He paid attention. He noticed patterns. He tried to be careful, and he understood too much. The more I read, the clearer it becomes. Arthur thought documentation was protection. That if he could map the system, define it, explain it, stabilize it, he could make himself safe. The writing degrades as the pages go on. Sentences trail off, words repeat. The same realization approaches again and again from slightly different directions, like he was hoping one version would stick without triggering something. If I describe it, it changes. If I don't describe it, I forget. Forgetting is safer. There's no final entry, no goodbye, just an abrupt stop. The notes don't end. Arthur does. That's when I understand what erased really means. Arthur wasn't removed violently. He wasn't punished. He wasn't dragged away. The system didn't need to do any of that. It let him keep going until he crossed a line he didn't realize existed. He tried to make himself permanent. The system responded by making him irrelevant. Ben's absence clarifies things in a different way. Ben never adjusted, never belonged. He came in from the outside, brought warmth and noise and assumptions with him. He asked questions without meaning to. He expected exits to stay where they were. The space tolerated him right up until it didn't. I replay the moment he vanished, not as a shock, but as a correction. Ben wasn't taken because he did something wrong. He was taken because he didn't do anything right, not in the way that mattered here. He wasn't accepted. And acceptance, I realize, isn't permission, it's alignment. That's the word that fits best. Alignment. Customers align naturally. They move through the space without friction. The system doesn't have to adjust for them. They come in knowing what they want, even if they don't consciously know why. I don't. I'm not aligned. I'm compensated for. That's the caretaker's role, not to stop things, not to protect anyone, not even to maintain order, just to absorb variance, to be the thing that bends so everything else doesn't have to. Arthur tried to stop bending. Ben never bent at all. Hollis is something else entirely. Once I see it, I can't unsee it. Hollis didn't move like a customer because he wasn't one. He moved like the space did, direct, efficient, unconcerned with obstacles. He didn't browse because browsing implies uncertainty. Hollis knew where he was going because he had been there before. Not recently, not as a man, but as a function. The item he came for wasn't new. It wasn't stored. It was owed. Hollis didn't threaten me because he didn't need to. He wasn't taking something from me. He was retrieving something from the system, something it had kept running by distributing the cost elsewhere, on people like Arthur, on people like Ben, on people like me. The rules surface slowly, not as a list but as pressure points. I feel them more than I understand them. The caretaker must not interfere with outcomes. That doesn't mean I can't touch things. I touch things all day. It means I can't change where they end up. I can't redirect consequence. I can't decide who pays. The caretaker exists only to maintain balance, not fairness. Balance doesn't care who gets hurt. It only cares that the system continues without tearing itself apart. Breaking a rule doesn't get you killed. That's the lie Arthur must have believed at first, that if he crossed a line, the space would correct him sharply, cleanly. End it. It doesn't. It records you. It adjusts around you differently, accounts for you, remembers that you are capable of interference and responds accordingly. You become a known quantity, a risk factor. I became one the moment I changed how Hollis's item would leave. The system didn't stop me. That's the worst part. It let me do it, watched, logged the deviation, then continued on, slightly altered. Now I feel it responding to me in real time. The aisles react faster. The shelves don't just shift, they anticipate. When I hesitate, the space tightens. When I decide, it yields immediately. I've been promoted. That's the thought that makes me laugh, quietly, into the empty room. I don't run. That option evaporates as soon as I seriously consider it. Running implies an exit that stays put. It implies the system would allow an unaccounted-for variable to leave once it's been flagged. I don't resist. Resistance is interference with no direction. Arthur tried that, in his own careful way, pushing back by documenting, by fixing, by clarifying. The system responded by removing him from relevance entirely. So I do the only thing left. I minimize harm. That becomes my guiding principle. Not because it's right, but because it's survivable. If I can't stop outcomes, I can at least influence how violently they land. If I can't save people, I can keep the system from chewing through them too quickly. It's a narrow margin. I can feel how little room there is. Philip visits that afternoon. He looks the same, sounds the same. He asks if everything is running smoothly. I tell him yes. He glances around, eyes sliding over the shelves without really seeing them. He doesn't ask about Ben. He wouldn't know to. When he leaves, I realize something that settles deep in my chest and stays there. Philip exists to legitimize this place, to make it acceptable, to make sure no one asks the wrong questions at the wrong time. He's not part of the system. He's its interface. I stand behind the counter long after closing, listening to the hum of the space doing its work. The ledger sits open in front of me, its pages waiting. There are more names now, more requests, some familiar, some not. I don't add anything. I don't remove anything. I just watch. I understand enough to know what I can't afford to learn. And I understand one thing with absolute clarity. Whatever happens next, I won't leave the way I arrived. That version of me, the one who walked into this place thinking it was temporary, is already gone. The system made sure of that, and now it's waiting to see what kind of caretaker I'll become. Hollis never comes back. I expect him to. I don't know why. Part of me assumes that once you've been seen, once you've been accounted for, you don't just disappear from the process. But days pass. Then more days. His name doesn't show up again in the ledger. No replacement note appears. No follow-up request fills the space he left behind. There's just a gap. I notice it the way you notice a missing stair. Not because you're looking for it, but because your body remembers how to move around it. One section of the space no longer behaves the way it should. It doesn't stretch. It doesn't tighten. It doesn't correct. It simply waits. And when I pass near it, the space responds faster everywhere else, more precise, less forgiving, like it's compensating. It responds to me now, not indirectly, not with delay. When I hesitate, it nudges. When I move with intent, it clears the way. I don't test it. I don't need to. The feedback is constant, subtle, unmistakable. Philip still visits. He stops by once a week, sometimes twice, always during posted hours. He asks if operations are stable. He checks paperwork that doesn't actually track anything meaningful. He never mentions Hollis, never mentions Ben, never asks why the delivery schedule adjusted itself. He thanks me for my time. Procedures continue. Customers come in, exchange items, leave. The bell rings. The light doesn't change. If anything, the place runs smoother than it did before, like a rough edge has been sanded down, as if nothing is wrong. One evening after Philip leaves, I decide to try again. Not because I think it will work, because I need to know what kind of failure it will be. I lock the door, step outside, and start walking. The cold feels sharper than I remember. The streetlights hum. I count my steps without meaning to. 1 block, 2. Everything looks right. Then the stretch begins. It's subtle, not dramatic. The distance between corners grows thin, then elastic. The sound of traffic fades and returns out of sync with my pace. My breathing feels slightly delayed, like it's waiting for permission to catch up. Nothing stops me. That's the cruel part. I could keep walking. I know that now. I could walk until my legs give out, until the city thins into something unrecognizable. The system isn't locking me in. It's waiting to see how much I'm willing to spend trying to leave. I stop. The moment I do, the pressure releases. The street snaps back into proportion. My phone buzzes with missed notifications that all arrived at once. Time resumes its usual uneven rhythm. I turn around and walk back. The door opens for me immediately. Inside, the space settles. Not pleased, not displeased, just balanced. I stand behind the counter, keys resting where I can see them, and accept what that means. I understand it now. Whatever comes next won't ask.